Dear viewers, our topic today is the Senecan Tragedy and its imitations. In our last lectures on English drama, we have discussed how humanist influence showed itself in the educational and ethical orientations of the Tudor interludes. In this lecture, we shall discuss how humanist interest in the Latin and Greek classics produced a new kind of English tragedy. As a matter of fact, there were no tragedies among either the miracle or the morality plays. Indeed, there was nothing that could be called tragedy in English drama before the classical influence manifested itself. English writers cut a sorry figure in their attempts to handle classical themes in the native way. For example, Richard Edwards' Damon and Pythias is an extraordinary combination of fooling and moralizing. Similarly, John Pickering's Orestes presents the wise as both clown and tempter. Even Shakespeare mocked such plays in A Midsummer Night's Dream and Henry IV, Part 1. In this regard, Sidney says that the English plays move freely from place to place and jump long periods of time. He further says, but besides these gross absurdities, how all their plays be neither right tragedies nor right comedies, mingling kings and clowns with neither decency nor discretion, so as neither the admiration and commiseration nor the right sportfulness is by their mongrel tragicomedy obtained. Sidney was not merely defending the unities of time and place and action on which the Renaissance Italian critics had so insisted, but also condemning the chaos of native English drama. Let us return to the humanist influence on English drama. The favorite classical writer of tragedies among English humanists was not Sophocles or Euripides, but the Roman writer Seneca. He produced 9 tragedies which were translated into English by Jasper Heywood. In his tragedies, Seneca adapted the old Greek myths to produce violent yet somber treatments of murder, cruelty, and lust. Seneca's tragedies exercised a great influence on medieval playwrights, who used them as models for literary imitation. They were popular in Italy in the 15th and 16th centuries. The plays of Giraldi and Ludovico Dolci were particularly important in this regard. The same movement was in progress in France, and both the French and the Italian movements jointly influenced English drama in the 16th century. The salient features of the Senecan tragedy are as under. Number 1, a division into 5 acts with choruses, and in the English imitation, often a dumb show expressive of the action. Number 2, a considerable retelling of horrors and violence, usually off the stage and elaborately recounted. Number 3, a parallel violence of language and expression. Seneca's tragedies were well ordered and coherent. Furthermore, they were written in a polished verse. Now we shall discuss the imitations of the Senecan tragedy. Of all the native plays modelled on the Senecan tragedy, Gorboduc was the most impressive. Even Sir Philip Sidney praised it and went to the extent of saying that Gorboduc climbed to the height of Senecan tragedy and delightfully taught notable morality. Gorboduc is a tale of a divided kingdom, civil war, and the awful consequences of split authority. It takes its plot from the mythical region of early English history. Spenser occasionally referred to it in The Fairy Queen, and Shakespeare drew on it in King Lear. Gorboduc is historically important as the first English play in blank verse and as an attempt at a purely regular form of tragedy. It is divided into 5 acts. It follows the classical manner in avoiding violence on the stage, and it is written in blank verse. Another important imitation of the Senecan tragedy is the Spanish tragedy, written by Thomas Kyd. It is the first and the most powerful of the series of revenge plays which so captured the Elizabethan and the Jacobean imagination. In this tragedy, Kyd mingled the themes of love, conspiracy, murder, and revenge. In this way, he found a way of adapting some of the main elements of Senecan tragedy to suit his purpose. The Spanish tragedy opens with a prologue in which the ghost of Andrea, a Spanish nobleman slain in battle against Portugal by the Portuguese prince Balthazar, makes a vow of vengeance. As the plot unfolds, we find Bellemperia, daughter of the Duke of Castile and beloved of the dead Andrea, being comforted by Horatio. Horatio is the son of Hieronimo, a marshal of Spain, and Andrea's faithful friend during his lifetime. But Lorenzo, Bellemperia's brother, and Balthazar, now an honorable prisoner in Spain, become suspicious of the growing affection between Horatio and Bellemperia. With the assistance of Lorenzo, Balthazar murders Horatio because he is also in love with Bellemperia. Shocked at the death of his son, Hieronimo plans his revenge with a mixture of madness and cunning. There is a blending of real and feigned madness here, which Shakespeare was to use in Hamlet. At the beginning of the play, he is a minor character, especially in relation to Lorenzo, Balthazar, and Bellemperia. It is not until he discovers his son's dead body that he becomes the protagonist of the play. Hieronimo's character undergoes a radical transformation from a grief-stricken father to a Machiavellian plotter. Hieronimo eventually achieves his revenge by arranging a play to celebrate the reconciliation between Spain and Portugal. The play is a tragedy in which Hieronimo, acting the part of a Turkish pasha, slays Lorenzo, who impersonates Erastus. Similarly, Balthazar himself, in the guise of the Turkish emperor, is killed by Bellemperia, who is disguised as the wife of Erastus. Thus Lorenzo and Balthazar are actually slain before the very eyes of the King of Spain, the Duke of Castile, and the Viceroy of Portugal, who think it is all a show. Bellemperia also really slays herself, though Hieronimo had not intended that. Hieronimo then gloats over his revenge. When seized, he bites off his tongue and spits it on the stage to make sure that he will not talk. Then he stabs the Duke of Castile and then himself. But a brief summary of the plot gives little idea of the power of the play. The play is marked by violence, passion, and intrigue, which work themselves out in every kind of horror and cruel cunning. The blank verse mingles exclamatory rhetoric with morbid sententiousness. In spite of the long rhetorical outbursts, the speed of the action is tremendous, event following on event with the grimmest kind of irony. As regards characterization, the characters are driven by passion. Their passions carry them on and make them dissemble to achieve revenge. The Spanish tragedy was regarded good theatre. It was one of the great successes of the Elizabethan public stage and was continually being revived. Contemporary playwrights like Shakespeare drew on these elements of the Spanish tragedy: the revenge theme, the play within the play, the madness, real and feigned, and the Machiavellian master of malicious plotting. Machiavellianism begins with Lorenzo and culminates in Iago. The Spanish tragedy resembled the Senecan tragedy in many respects, yet it deviated from the Senecan tragedy in an important respect. It showed violent physical action on the stage. But it was tragedy of a sort, the first truly popular tragedy of the English stage, and one of the most influential. Before we conclude, a word about the growing popularity of English drama. Drama moved from the auspices of church to the tutelage of town guilds, from amateur clerical authorship to professional authorship and professional acting. At the same time, the schools, the inns of the court, the universities, houses of noblemen, and Queen's Court provided opportunities for more sophisticated plays. Moreover, the schools with humanist orientations trained the boys to act Plautus or Terence in Latin as part of their education. Gorboduc and its imitations, Jocasta and Gismond of Salem, were first presented at Inns of Court. Latin comedies, derived largely from the Italian, were popular at Cambridge in 1580s. It was at Cambridge, too, that Gamma Gurton's Needle was first acted. Meanwhile, Oxford was producing Senecan tragedies in Latin. The growing popularity and diversity of the drama, its secularization, and the growth of a class of writers and scholars who had no desire to be in holy orders combined to produce a new literary phenomenon, the secular professional playwright. This was the progress of English drama from the early medieval period to Tudor times. In the final analysis, the medieval tragedy bore the stamp of the Senecan tragedy, which was marked by the spirit of violence, which was not mimetically represented but narrated in a diegetic way. This rule was violated in the Spanish tragedy. As drama became more popular, professionalization developed both among authors and among actors. Thank you very much.